It wasn't Earth's fault that we became the most terrifying species in the galaxy. Honestly, we were just minding our own business, still arguing about whether plaid was back in fashion and if cereal was technically a soup, when the Zinthari scout ship crashed into the parking lot of a Walmart in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Doug Fletcher, assistant manager of said Walmart, became humanity's first ambassador purely by virtue of being on his smoke break at the right moment. History would later record his famous first words to an alien species as, "Holy shit, dude, you can't park there." The Zinthari, a race of elegant crystalline beings who communicated through light patterns and gravitational waves, had spent 300 years perfecting their first contact protocols, none of which prepared them for Doug offering them a slightly squished pack of Marlboros while asking if they had insurance. When the actual government officials arrived 6 hours later, they found Doug and 4 Zinthari commanders sitting on milk crates behind the store watching cat videos on Doug's phone. The aliens were already addicted to caffeine after sampling Doug's thermos of coffee, despite the fact that it gave their translucent bodies an alarming brown tint. At the official diplomatic reception the following week, Doug, now hastily appointed as Special Ambassador for Interstellar Relations, managed to spill an entire pot of coffee on the High Emissary of the Galactic Council. The 12-tentacled diplomat changed colors so rapidly that 3 of its aides fainted, but the rest of the alien delegation interpreted this as some sort of human dominance ritual and immediately granted Earth provisional membership status. "I don't understand what happened," President Kamala Williams whispered to her chief of staff, as the aliens bowed reverently to Doug, who was frantically trying to mop up coffee with cocktail napkins. "I think we just became part of a galactic civilization because Doug Fletcher is a klutz," the chief of staff replied. And that's how humanity entered the galactic stage. Not with a bang or a whimper, but with a coffee stain and an inappropriate joke about UFO insurance claims. 6 months later, Earth had established its first off-world embassy on Centauri Prime, the neutral meeting ground for the Galactic Council's 247-member species. Commander Vex Harrington, a decorated Navy SEAL with 20 years of combat experience, had been selected to represent Earth's military interests. It was not going well. "No, we don't have psychic abilities," Vex explained for the 3rd time to the Glesian ambassador, a floating jellyfish-like creature. "And yes, we actually do need to sleep for a third of every day." "Fascinating," the ambassador bubbled condescendingly. "And your species has managed to achieve spaceflight despite these limitations? How charming." Vex's eye twitched. The Galactic Council had categorized humans as a Class C non-threatening species, alongside space hamsters and sentient moss. Our military capabilities were officially described as quaint, our technology as endearingly primitive, and our biological makeup as inefficient but amusing. When Vex tried to explain that Earth maintained several thousand nuclear weapons, the Council merely noted that nuclear fission was a charming adolescent phase that most species outgrew within their first millennia of development. "At least give us access to the shared defense networks," Vex argued during a subcommittee meeting. "Earth is vulnerable to potential threats." The Dravisian general, a 9-foot-tall reptilian with ceremonial battle scars covering 80% of his body, actually patted Vex on the head. "Little human, the only species barbaric enough to attack unprovoked are, well, primitives like yourselves. And you're much too cute for anyone to bother with." Vex returned to Earth with a classified report that read simply, "They think we're puppies. Dangerous, unpredictable puppies, but puppies nonetheless." The United Nations Space Command responded by quietly accelerating Earth's military modernization program. If the galaxy was determined to treat us like harmless pets, they reasoned, perhaps that misperception could eventually work in our favor. "Let them keep underestimating us," General Zhao told the Security Council. "History is filled with empires that fell because they couldn't recognize a threat until it was too late." No one realized just how prophetic those words would become. The first real test of humanity's place in the galactic hierarchy came 18 months later, when the Proxima Centauri trading post, Earth's first extraterrestrial commercial venture, came under attack from the Valk Raiders. notorious pirates who preyed on undefended outposts. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez, a former Marine with a degree in improvisational theater, was the station's security chief. When the Valk flagship appeared and demanded immediate surrender, Maya's response was not what the pirates expected. "I'm sorry, the station commander isn't here right now," she transmitted. "Can I take a message?" The Valk commander, confused by this non-standard response to a raid, hesitated just long enough for Maya to implement what would later be known as the Rodriguez maneuver. With only 20 security personnel and a handful of civilian engineers, Maya couldn't match the Valk's firepower. Instead, she ordered the station's environmental systems to vent steam through the external cooling ports, while simultaneously broadcasting distress signals on all frequencies, including several that carried popular Galactic Council reality shows. The resulting thermal signature and communication burst made Proxima Station appear to be suffering a catastrophic reactor meltdown, while simultaneously attracting the attention of every ship within 3 light-years. "What are those humans doing?" the Vault commander demanded as his sensors went haywire. "Their core is destabilizing, but they're not evacuating. Are they having a party?" Maya had indeed ordered the station's lounge music to be broadcast alongside the distress calls, creating the impression that the humans were either oblivious to their impending doom or, more terrifyingly, welcoming it. The Valk, faced with the possibility that humans might be suicidal enough to detonate their station rather than surrender, hastily retreated, right into the path of an arriving Galactic Council peacekeeping force who had picked up the distress signals. When the Council investigators asked Maya about her unusual tactics, she shrugged and replied, "I just figured if we couldn't look strong, we might as well look crazy." The report filed with the Galactic Security Office described the incident as concerning evidence that humans may employ psychological deterrence and unpredictable behaviors as strategic alternatives to conventional defensive capabilities. In other words, the galaxy was beginning to suspect that humans weren't just harmless puppies, they were possibly rabid ones. The Krell Empire, unlike the rest of the Galactic Council, didn't find humans amusing or endearing. A warrior species with a rigid hierarchical society, the Krell saw Earth's admission to the Council as an insult to species who had earned their place through military prowess, rather than stumbling into space like drunken primates. When Earth established a research colony on Epsilon 4, a planet on the edge of Krell space, the Empire decided it was time to put the humans in their place. Captain Jack Morgan, commander of Earth's defense fleet stationed at Epsilon, received the Krell ultimatum with surprising calm. "They want us to what now?" he asked, taking a sip from his coffee mug, which had become something of a human trademark in space. "Surrender the colony, acknowledge Krell superiority, and withdraw to our solar system for a probationary period of 50 years, his communications officer read. "That seems excessive," Jack mused. "Did we do something to offend them specifically? Or is this just a general dislike?" The Krell commander, visible on the view screen, bristled at Jack's casual tone. "Your very existence offends us, human. You have 1 planetary rotation to comply." After the transmission ended, Jack gathered his officers. "Options? We have 3 ships against their battle fleet of 15, his tactical officer pointed out. "Conventional engagement would be unsuccessful." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "Then let's try something unconventional. Contact Earth and get me everything we have on Krell biology, cultural taboos and military doctrine, and find out if we still have those emergency terraforming packages in Cargo Bay 3. What followed would become known as the Battle of Epsilon, though calling it a battle was like calling a chess match a fist fight. No shots were fired, no ships were destroyed, and yet the Krell fleet withdrew in what witnesses described as panicked disarray. Jack had discovered 3 critical facts about the Krell. They had an almost pathological fear of environmental contamination. They believed in a strict chain of command, and their ship's automated systems prioritized crew health above all other directives. The human fleet deployed the terraforming packages, essentially bundles of Earth bacteria, algae, and microorganisms designed to jumpstart ecosystems, in a dispersal pattern directly in the Krell's approach vector. They then transmitted doctored medical reports suggesting that human colonists had developed a highly contagious respiratory condition that caused uncontrollable flatulence in Krell physiology. Finally, they sent contradictory surrender terms to different Krell ships, creating confusion about which vessel should accept the colony's submission. The result was chaos. Krell ship captains, unwilling to risk biological contamination but equally unwilling to appear weak by retreating, found themselves locked in a decision paralysis. Their automated systems, detecting potential biohazards, initiated quarantine protocols, and the chain of command fractured as multiple ships claimed the right to negotiate. After 6 hours of increasingly frantic communication, the Krell fleet withdrew to reassess the strategic situation. When a Galactic Council observation ship arrived 2 days later to investigate reports of a potential conflict, they found the human colony functioning normally, with Captain Morgan offering to host a diplomatic dinner to clear up this unfortunate misunderstanding. The Council representative, a normally unflappable Arcturian diplomat, sent a private message to the Council's security office. The humans defeated a Krell battle fleet without firing a shot. I am concerned. News of the Epsilon incident spread through the galaxy faster than a quantum transmission. Species that had previously dismissed humans as harmless curiosities began re-evaluating their assessments. The Galactic Council elevated Earth's classification from Class C, non-threatening, to Class A, unpredictable, a designation previously reserved for sentient gas clouds and time-shifting anomalies. Dr. Eliza Quantum, Earth's newly appointed Director of Galactic Psychology, found herself suddenly in high demand at Council briefings. "I don't understand why everyone's so nervous," she told a panel of alien diplomats. "We've never initiated aggression against any species." "That's precisely what concerns us," replied the Taurian representative, his 4 eyes blinking asynchronously in distress. "You don't behave according to any recognizable pattern. When threatened, sometimes you negotiate, sometimes you fight, and sometimes you do whatever Captain Morgan did at Epsilon." "We call it thinking outside the box," Eliza explained. "What box?" the Taurian asked in genuine confusion. "Is this box a weapon?" Rumors about human capabilities proliferated across the galaxy. Some claimed that human unpredictability was actually a form of multidimensional thinking. Others suggested that humans possessed hidden psychic abilities they deliberately concealed. The most outlandish theory proposed that humans were actually evolved predators who had temporarily suppressed their violent nature to infiltrate galactic society. The Zinthari, still fond of Doug Fletcher despite his coffee-spilling tendencies, attempted to defend humanity's reputation. "They're not malicious," the High Emissary insisted. "They're just innovative in crisis situations." "So are supernovas," muttered the Krell ambassador. When a human diplomatic vessel responded to a distress call from a stranded Prelaxian ship by using experimental gravity slings to tow the massive alien cruiser to safety, a rescue that should have been physically impossible given human technology levels, the galactic rumor mill went into overdrive. Their hiding their true capabilities became the prevailing theory among military analysts. The fact that Earth continued to request technological assistance and trade agreements only heightened suspicion. Clearly, this was an elaborate ruse to lower galactic defenses. Within 2 years of first contact, humanity had achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. They were feared not for what they had done, but for what they might do. Not for the weapons they possessed, but for their apparent ability to turn anything into a weapon. Not for their aggression, but for their unpredictability. As one Dravisian philosopher observed, the humans have weaponized uncertainty itself. 5 years after Doug Fletcher's fateful encounter in a Walmart parking lot, Earth found itself in an unexpected position. Without firing a shot in galactic conflict, without conquering a single world, without even building a particularly impressive fleet, humanity had become the de facto military superpower of known space. Admiral Trent Maxwell, the newly appointed Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, found the situation both amusing and alarming. "Let me get this straight," he said during a joint session of the United Nations. Half the galaxy believes we're strategic masterminds executing some grand plan. The other half thinks we're unpredictable berserkers who could snap at any moment, and nobody will tell us to our faces what they actually think. That's an accurate assessment, confirmed Ambassador Chen. The Galactic Council has also unanimously approved our proposal to establish human peacekeeping forces in 3 disputed sectors, despite the fact that we have exactly 12 military vessels capable of intergalactic travel. Trent rubbed his temples. So, they're afraid of us, but they're using that fear to make us do their dirty work? Essentially, yes. They've decided that if humans are going to be a terrifying enigma, we might as well be their terrifying enigma. Earth found itself in the peculiar position of maintaining galactic peace, primarily through reputation. When human peacekeepers arrived in the Orion dispute zone, the centuries-long conflict between the Rigelians and Betelgeusians miraculously resolved itself, before the humans could even establish a base. Neither side wanted to risk becoming the focus of humanity's mysterious capabilities. Admiral Maxwell eventually developed what he called the scary babysitter policy. Human forces would protect vulnerable worlds and trade routes, not through superior firepower, but through strategic application of Earth's reputation for unpredictable brilliance. "We wanted to make friends," Doug Fletcher lamented at the 10th anniversary celebration of First Contact. "Instead, we've become the cosmic boogeyman." "Could be worse," Admiral Maxwell replied, clinking glasses with the man who had accidentally launched humanity into galactic prominence. "They could have discovered us before we perfected pizza. Some things are worth fearing." The ultimate irony of Earth's rise to power wasn't lost on galactic historians. The humans had achieved military supremacy not by conquering worlds or building superweapons, but by being so fundamentally incomprehensible to galactic civilizations that no one dared risk provoking them. As one anonymous Zinthari diplomat put it, "The humans won the game before they even understood they were playing. And that, more than anything else, is why they terrify us." In the vast ledger of galactic civilizations, Earth was recorded with a unique distinction. The only species to achieve military dominance through a combination of accidental diplomacy, improvised tactics, and the galaxy's most potent weapon, the fear of what unpredictable thing they might do next. Doug Fletcher, for his part, was just glad he'd finally been promoted to general manager of the Walmart where it all began. After dealing with galactic diplomacy, angry customers returning used swimwear didn't seem so bad after all. The end.